What's going on, guys? John out here with you. It is a Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. This is time for the NFL picks, week number 8. Again, I apologize for the last week's side. I do everything posted at hopefulsportsguide.wordpress.com per usual. But because of the MIH, all of a sudden with the Waterford Sharks and then a weekend game between the Flames and the Red Wings, I just wanted to be able to save the pipes a little bit. But also, again, I'm not going to throw myself under the bus because I've already put all that stuff in the open. You knew how bad I was last week, and if not, it was the first time you get a chance to hear it. I was 1-11 last week. I'm now moved to 46-53 in total after the 1-11. And again, I won't sugarcoat things. I'm in a league for about maybe 60 people. I won't oversell the amount of number. I'll just lowball it and put it at 60 on that side. And when we got the message from the commissioner, only 6 people went above 500 in the week 7 side. I guess there was a lot of upsets and some problems. If I would have reversed my picks, I would have won 11-1 on that side. Imagine that. My first win for the last week's side was the Monday night game when I took Minnesota and they won outright against San Francisco. So you have to imagine things can only get better. So let's try to get into this. Again, I'm going to give this to you on a Wednesday because I'm going to spend some time with the missus tomorrow. And then the World Series will be Friday and Saturday games 1 and 2 with Alec Nava. I should be able to join me for most of those. And on the World Series, I should be able to cover most of the games, probably through Game 4. And then we'll have to see after that because I do have some plans from before that are already kind of set up after that. So we'll get the first 4 games at least in alongside Alec Nava. But this week 8 picks, let's not delay them any longer. So here's the portion, and again, I'm going to try to go on both sides of the bracket here to pick up a couple of wins and see what happens. So for the Browns and Colts last week, it was a 39-38 game. The Cleveland Browns just edged the Colts. Well, now the Colts this week are playing New Orleans at home, and it's only 1.5. It's kind of a pick-em game. New Orleans lost 31-24 last week to the Jags. If Indianapolis can bring that same type of intensity against New Orleans defense, and New Orleans has kind of been hit and miss, and they're on the road, then it should be pretty good because Zach Moss didn't really do anything, and the Colts scored 38 points. So give me the Indianapolis Colts. I think they'll cover the 1.5 at home. Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers looked pretty good last week on that side against the Rams. They beat a decent team alongside Matthew Stafford on the defense with Aaron Donald. Everyone else, as you know. And Puka Nacua had a strong game, but yet Rams only had 17 points. Playing against Jacksonville, who got the 31-24 win of the Saints, as we said. And Jacksonville looks good. They look to be a playoff team on this side. I know Pittsburgh's at home, but the spread's only 2.5. Give me the Jags. I think they'll get it done. Houston and Carolina. Carolina hasn't gotten a win so far on the season, and Houston's already gotten a couple, and they look pretty good. 3.5. Houston might be due for a situation where they don't perform as expected, and 3.5 seems like a lot because Carolina does put up points. I don't know if Carolina's going to win this game, but this seems like if they're going to get one, this would be an opportunity to do so. Give me Carolina with a 3.5 at home. They get 3.5. I think they can stay within that number. Philadelphia and Washington, these ones are always very difficult. Now, if Philadelphia plays the way they did against the Dolphins with a 31-17 victory last week, then the thing should be a formality. Washington, man, they lost to the Giants 14-7 last week, and that's really bad because the Giants personnel is not all there on that side. Philadelphia can do what they did last week, and Washington performs that way. The 6.5 is not going to be enough. I'm just going to take the Eagles. I know it's a NFC side of it on the matchup, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles because that just has to happen at this point. Dallas and the Rams. Here's the interesting part for me. Dallas over the last couple of weeks has kind of pissed me off a little bit, not really covering the spread and kind of hanging around a little bit. The Rams can do enough to hang around, and it's 6.5. Now they could go into Jerry's world and get absolutely stomped, but the 6.5 that I'm looking at on the first blush, I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams and see if they can cover. Miami and New England. Now, Bill Belichick does a good job on this side, kind of limiting Miami, although Miami's had some situations where they've absolutely stomped on New England. But New England actually got the win last week, and they did it against the Bills, 29-25. Miami should be pretty hungry to go back and get a win after losing 31-17 to the Dolphins, but the number's 9.5. If Bill Belichick can stay underneath that, that'll be good enough for me. I'll take the 9.5. The Jets and the Giants, the Battle of New York. This one's in the Meadowlands with the Giants. Jets get 3.5. I think the Giants got their win last week and splurged a little bit. Now they're going to have to play against the Jets, who are a much better defensive team. I think the Jets can safely cover 3.5. Give me the Jets. Atlanta and Tennessee. I don't know what to make of Atlanta or Tennessee, because Atlanta gets a 16-13 win over the Bucks, who I thought were decent, but the Bucks lost back-to-back games, including the Lions from the week before. And it's only 2.5. Tennessee, I don't know. Ryan Tannehill's had some really rough games, and he gets injured. I don't know if he's going to be back this week or not. Is Bijan Robinson going to dominate? I really don't know. Give me Tennessee. Maybe Derrick Henry can wake out of his slumber. With 2.5 at home, I'll just take it. This one, Green Bay, Minnesota. I know Green Bay is at home, but I'm very confused as to why this spread's only 1.5 and Minnesota gets the points. Green Bay, they didn't even look good against the Broncos on that side. They lost 19-17. Now you're telling me Minnesota is getting a 1.5? I'm not going to have to think too hard about this one. Give me the Vikings. Seattle and Cleveland. Cleveland gets 3.5 on the road against Seattle. Does Cleveland play the way they did against the Colts and they put up a ton of points? Deshaun Watson only passed like 6 times and then he was done after that game. And they still won. Or does Seattle come out? I mean, they played an okay game against Arizona, but quite frankly, that's a team they should beat more. Honestly, I feel like I should take Cleveland, but I'm going to roll with Seattle just because I don't know if Philip Walker can do that again. Can they bounce back? Because this really seems like a game I should take Cleveland, but I'm going to go with Seattle here with 3.5 points. I'm probably going to regret it. Kansas City and Denver. I know Denver comes off the win of the Packers, as we said, but it's the Packers. It's 8.5, and it's Kansas City on the other side. I'm just going to go ahead and take the Chiefs. You get a big win over the Chargers, 31-17. You only got to cover 8.5. Maybe Kansas City sleepwalks to this one, and I'm a little bit in trouble, but I'll just go ahead and take it. Cincinnati and San Francisco. This really depends for me how healthy San Francisco is. They've lost 2 games in a row. Cincinnati is getting a big enough number for most people to go ahead and take it. I think San Francisco needs a bounce back after losing 2 straight games. I'm going to go ahead and take the 49ers. Hope they can cover 6.5. Baltimore and Arizona. Now, this is pretty simple for me. John Harbaugh absolutely opened up a can alongside Lamar Jackson and the Lions. It was a dismantling, 38-6. The Lions played one of the poorest games of the season. And on the other end, the Red Wings and the Flames, we covered that the next day, they scored as many goals against the Flames as the Lions scored on that side. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and roll with Baltimore. Again, it's Arizona. They're not very good, but I hope that Lamar Jackson can stay in the midseason form as he did against the Lions, because if he does that, they'll do it comfortably. The Chargers in Chicago. I know the Chargers have had a tough season. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this real quick. They're 2-4. They've had some brutally close losses. Yes, they got beat up by the Chiefs pretty good last week, but they are playing the Bears. Bears play a little bit better of late. It's 8.5 still, but the Chargers are really due for a game on the Sunday side where they absolutely smack somebody. Let them smack the Bears. Give me the Chargers covering 8.5. And that leads me to the Monday night game. Unbelievable. This is a Monday night game again. So Detroit gets another one of those. They have a few Thursdays, and now they get a Monday against the Raiders. Now, the Raiders, you can mix in Aiden O'Connell. You can mix in Brian Hoyer. There's no excuse for Detroit to not win this game. Maybe they don't cover the 8.5, but if they come out of this one with a loss, I think there's going to be a lot of talking heads on the radio that are going to start to say some things they probably should, because if Detroit wins one of the next 2 games, they're probably going to be a guaranteed playoff game. That loss against the Ravens was expected. Probably not to that extent, but at least for me, I can go back and say, like I told you, I never drank the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid on that side. And it's a poison pill to have to swallow for the Lions, but you know it's a good thing. It's going to stop all these fans and let them be humbled a little bit and know that the Lions aren't a Super Bowl contender. They're just trying to get in the playoffs. That's a step in the right direction. Winning a playoff game is something we haven't seen in about 30 years on that side. So the Lions should win. Do they cover 8.5? I'll lean with the Lions from the bounce back effort and hope that Dan Campbell's squad gets it done. So give me the Leos, and they cover 8.5. As far as the tiebreaker points, I never really throw that out there, but I'll put it at 48. I do want to make a quick omission. I never really told you this before, but on some of the sides for these games over the last few years, I told you I won money over the last few years, but a couple before that, I've been losing pretty good. And what I would do is I would go ahead and make my picks that I would initially give you, and then I would reverse them completely and send them in. And sometimes that worked out really good. In fact, if I did that last week, I would have been 11-1. But sometimes when you go 6-7, 7-6, it doesn't matter. So let's hope for a bounce back. I was a games over 500 last week until they 1-11. So let's see if we can turn that around. As always, guys, I appreciate it, and we'll be back on the Friday side when Alec Nava and I recover the World Series, starting with Game 1 of the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Can you believe that? Who are you taking? Let me know.